The new episodes of Disney's new Ducktales series have been focused on the return of a character who's been lost. Someone who's been gone and dearly missed by the rest of the Ducktales cast. Today, she returns. We're not talking about Della. We're talking about Lena. That's right, the broody teenager who's been trapped in the Shadow Realm is back. Kind of. This is Friendship Hates Magic. The biggest thread left over from the DuckTales Season 1 finale is the fate of Lena, Magica De Spell's niece. And in this episode, we finally get to see a hint of where she's been. And it's basically where we thought she was. At the end of that finale, Lena disappears, but we see her reflected in Webby's shadow, implying that she is living in some way in Webby's shadow. This episode gets a little bit more specific. She's not specifically in Webby's shadow, but she is in the Shadow Realm, and she's been following around her best friend for probably lack of anything else to do in that Shadow Realm. Fortunately for Lena, Webby's a very dedicated best friend, has been spending as much time as she can at the Duckburg Library researching occult books in an attempt to figure out how to bring her friend back. The only problem is the latest book Webby needs has already been checked out by another weird magic-obsessed girl.
Violet Saberwing. Webby!
Violet's not exactly ready to give up that magic book she needs to help get Lena back, though. So, only one possible solution exists.
Oh no, a sleepover. Oh boy, a sleepover!
That's perfect for Webby. She loves sleepovers. But every time she had Lena over, something weird and magical happened, and that strained friendships, at least in her mind. So she's determined to make this one the least magical, most normal sleepover ever. And that's a problem, because this new girl is pretty much only in this friendship for the magic. That leaves Lena highly suspicious of everything, because she's meddled with magic extensively, and it just didn't work out that well for her. Webby doesn't know it, but she's been shadowing her this whole time in an attempt to protect Webby. So, Webby, wanting to be super duper friends with this person who's only really interested in magic, has got Lena's shadow form on edge. If someone's that interested in magic, can you really trust them?
This is exactly what she wants you to do because that's exactly what I would have done!
It's an episode where it's really easy to feel Lena's frustration, because she has, like the viewer, a little insight as to what's going on. The stakes of Lena's frustration and worries are raised when she finds her old amulet, Magica's staff, hidden in the new kid's bag. And where there's that magic amulet, there's trouble. Webby and Violet's friendships aren't the only one budding in the episode, however. Worried that she doesn't have enough friends, Mrs. Beakley invites Launchpad to hang out for the night. And it's kind of awkward. But Launchpad has a solution to make any friendship work.
That is a Scarlet Pimpernel.
Just like Darkwing Duck.
I don't know what that is.
What?
Honestly, any chance to see this show's interpretation of the Disney Afternoon classic TV series Darkwing Duck is an absolute delight. It's just filled with references to the original thing, a lot of spirit of the original show, and just enough of a twist that makes you wonder what's really going on with this interpretation of a TV show within a TV show. On top of that, it's always a lot of fun to see Launchpad just geeking out about something.
Wow, look at us two. Couple of work buddies sharing. Don't go in there, DW!
Mrs. Beakley obviously isn't into it, but you know what changes that? A good cliffhanger.
The show was canceled before the finale.
But what happens next? I can't just end the show like that. I have to know what happens.
This is just a really good use of an A story, B story for DuckTales. It has something we really care about, Lena and where she's gone and the lore of that, and asking if this character's coming back, while simultaneously adding a new character. But it also has a more lighthearted B story, and I think it works out really well. I really enjoyed this main plot that was answering a question that I was just aching to know, alongside the fan service of Darkwing Duck with Beakley and Launchpad jokes. And even though that sounds just like it was an aside gag, it's actually set up for another episode that we haven't talked about yet. On a whole, it's just a really well-constructed, important episode. But because it's such an important episode and it's packed with things, it means it's hard to talk about without spoilers. So if you haven't seen this episode yet, forewarned, I'm about to talk about the ending. And that's right, if you hadn't guessed it already, that ending is about Lena coming back. Without getting into too much detail about who was in the Shadow Realm when and how they figured out this whole magical puzzle, it's a closing loop of what happened to this character. Lena's return to the regular world and the regular cast. And that's really exciting for me, because not only does it bring back Lena, who is a new and interesting character, but it creates a new complete trio. We don't just have the boys, Huey, Dewey, and Louie, and the kids with Webby. We now have the boys and the girls, two separate groups of kids who will definitely be integrated into a larger cast. Now, Webby has her own trio to play with, and I think that's really interesting and fun, especially considering how revamped of a character Webby is in this new series. It does leave some questions about Lena unanswered, however. From what we know about Lena, she's not a naturally born duck. She is some sort of spiritual manifestation taken out of Magica Dispel and made flesh. So it doesn't answer for me yet. What is Lena? She's obviously her own complete character, and we know she's going to stay that way. But was she ever a person before she was one of Magica's minions? Can Magica just make people by siphoning off part of her personality? My guess is the answer to that probably isn't that important. And either way, I'm just sort of happy to have the character back and part of this new trio of girls who we get to see in the future. And I really hope they go on big adventures with the boys and we get to see the whole cast on some giant adventure at some point. I'm also really jazzed about how much Beakley becomes a Darkwing Duck fan by the end of this episode. I totally didn't see that coming. But we'll have to talk about that story later, because this review is wrapped for now. Thanks for watching and keeping up with me as I try and keep up with these episodes. As always, thanks for watching though, and hey, take it easy, Internet.